Okay, so here I've set up the first scenario for Double Star, which is sneak attack. The Chinese are going to try to slip in and sneak a base onto the Islamic, one of their main planets. Let me explain a couple of things I found out in the rules. First of all, task forces are limited to the command ships. The more command ships you have, the more task forces you have. They're the only things that can get training, and whatever fleets they're with, those are the things that operate with training ships. You can break that fleet up into different groups as long as they're all in the same hex that have different formations, if that makes sense for you. The second thing is, let's see. Okay, one of the things is this scenario involves landing a base on the opposing planet. That I could not find any rule for, as far as I can tell. You can't have, so there is a rule that you can't have opposing pieces on the same planet. Now, you can't land on the same planet, but my feeling is that if you empty, if you're able to destroy a space on the planet and stick around, which of course you'd be able to do once you empty the space, you can drop a base there. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me check planetary bombardment, because I don't think this P-8. Ooh, populations get reduced very, very slowly. So I'm going to go with the strategy I've got, but it may not be optimal. Everything's open as far as I can tell in the game, which means I can peek and see what kind of populations they have. Oh, look, there's only 50 here at the poles. Well, that's actually kind of problematic because the poles are the least defended, but I'll stick with what I've got. And basically, if I clear out the population, I think I can drop a base down there. But if I don't clear out the population, I don't think I can do that. That could be a pain in the butt, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, because I think clearing 50 population shouldn't be too hard, assuming that I have a decent fleet in place. So, the actual goals of this are: the Islamics have 180 points with 40 points that they can produce later, and the Chinese have 200 points with 10 points that they can produce later. Well, the Chinese 10 points is absolutely useless if they can't get them here, and we'll see why that's a big deal. Because the game lasts 12 turns after the Chinese leave the outermost Islamic orbit line. Okay, so once they actually invade, they've only got 12 turns to establish themselves. That's better than I thought. I thought it was 12 turns after this, which was beginning to look ugly. Or 48 turns total. Now, for my two fleets, I've made slightly different decisions, significantly different decisions. For the Islamics, I looked at, first of all, they have to buy some defensive guns. They don't have to, but I see my point defense as being fairly valuable. It looks like it's a pretty good thing to do. So I spent 16 points, put one on each pole for each of the planets. Because if I lose any one of these planetary locations, I've got problems. I also built 3 different command ship fleets, one for each of my major planets. And in them, I put some transports, which are free. I guess just dragooned into service. A battleship in each one. The idea there being some of the tactics give you a real bonus if you have a heavy ship, a single heavy ship, and a bunch of little ships. So for the bunch of little ships, I built a lot of robotic fighters. Honestly, I'm not sure why you would buy certain permutations at all. So for example, orbital fighters are really questionable. Of course, if you use all your robotic fighters, and they seem to be pretty valuable, you might need the orbital fighters. But the robotic fighters for space combat work just as well. And for strafing and bombing, okay, the orbital fighters have they have an interesting interaction here. The orbital fighters can shoot just like ships can, so they're as good as, I don't know, as a fighter fighting transport ship, which are really neat because they're fast. Nothing else is that fast. The robotic fighters have speed 3, which is good as a battle cruiser or a heavy cruiser, but your fleet command ships have a speed of 2, which means if you're going to coordinate and organize your fleets, you are not going to be able to move very fast, right? Okay, great. But anyway, with all these fighters in here, I get bonuses if I have that one heavy ship plus all the light ships. What I don't really get a great bonus also is if I get to add all my ships together, but these are the most cost-effective points that I can get, or as cost-effective as anything else, with one exception. These transports, they cost me nothing. I get them for free. For the Chinese, because they have to drop a base down, well, not only did I buy a transports, but I also bought, well, not only do I have transports, but under here there's a base in each of these fleets. Now those fleets are going to operate together. I just wanted 2 different command functions, and I may end up, merging all the ships from one of the command functions to another if I really like the tactics that I get. My goal here is to send one huge fleet in to smash one place and be able to drop a base. Why do I have 2 bases? If I fuck up and I lose a base, but I don't count on doing that. Anyway, the free transports, hey, they're a pretty good deal, and they don't move any slower than my command ships do. It might have made sense to try to do a scattered ship raid to move quickly, but it looks to me like the defender would be able to react and catch me before I bombard the planet into dust, or at least one space in the planet into dust, so I'm probably going to need my big fleet. For this, I went with heavier ships. I don't think that's as good an option. I think this is the more clever option, but I figure let's test things out. Since I started putting the Islamics down first, well, I went with what I think is the weaker option for the Chinese. Now, I have the population spread out here and the factories and stuff. For the Chinese, it matters not at all. And this 10 points only matters if my fleet is taking off within that. Now, the particular positioning that these things have, these are all garbage little planets. The only exception is this one, and if we look at this, well, it's heading this way. This one is coming around a little more quickly, so I figure it's slightly the better planet. Although I'm going to have to build some crap. Let's see, there's 2 planets here, 1 planet here. So yeah, I mean, I really don't have a lot of flexibility. I'm hoping to build some more fighters with the points I have. It might make sense to build myself a power plant and try to launch one of these shit heads out there. I'm going to try not to use that this time and see what happens without that, but that may be the most effective way to destroy a planet, is to throw a moon at it or something. And I, of course, could strip a moon off of one of these planets, so I don't have to move it as far. 1 power plant should be enough to drop that down on there. Nobody put anything on any of their little planetoids. These guys count as planetoids. I looked that sucker up. I'm using these extra population markers here to indicate the excess cash that's kicking around, and I think that's about it. I'm going to call this officially started because there was a fair amount of thought and, stuff into setup, even if I don't actually play tonight, which is likely. I'll probably start tomorrow before work. I don't have a player turn marker. Horrible. Let's use planet F. There's an extra planetoid for whatever reason. All right, well, let's get going. Okay, so the game, from what I can tell, doesn't say who goes first. Neither here nor in the scenario, which is fine. We'll make the Chinese go first. So their first decision is, when is production done? Because we want to get started on that. It doesn't seem to have any particular time in the turn that it's done. This is turn 1, so it'll be ready on turn 6, whatever I do. I have 10 points of production. I'm going to spend it all, and I'm going to buy more robotic fighters, and I'll grab 5 of these. Now, I'm not intending on waiting around for them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to launch my battle fleet beforehand and set it in motion. And then those things which have a movement rate of 3 can speed up a little faster. Now this is unless there's a much better deal on these fighting transports. You know what? These fighting transports are even cheaper. They're the same price. Robotic fighters are 2 points. These things are 2 points. Fighting transports are better. Why didn't I buy these with anyone else? I don't know. Except that I can't. Oops. Okay. Well, we'll live with that. I would have really liked the speed for them. But these will come in, and I'll be building them on my main planet, because that's going to be, if anything, a little closer. And we get to move in combat. Well, nothing too exciting here in movement. We're set up like this. We'll set out 1. Our fleets both move 2. And we'll just keep heading out. Yay! We're done with the turn. Well, okay, for the Islamicists, they also want to get their production being built. It doesn't specify which production center you're building anything on. Here, it doesn't much matter. I'll build it on Chin, you know. I mean, the Islamicists are not going to be coming over and dealing with me. But what's not clear is whether or not my builds have to be recorded as being in a specific place. It makes sense to me that they would. Well, what's my furthest planet? I think it's this one, Al or whatever, Al Razek. So I'm going to build my additional forces there. Now I have 40, let's get rid of these points. I have 40 points of fighters there. Yeah, I kind of like this. It has almost no rules, really. I mean, somebody said 4 pages, but it's really 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4.5 pages of rules, plus the scenario and some intro stuff. So that's pretty damn impressive how much there is here, but it's very, very sparsely written, which means there are things you kind of have to figure out, like, do these get placed in a specific place or not? I say they do. I'm going to be building them on this planet. We'll see if I can remember that. I could put a little marker there, but I think I'm going to build, well, maybe I'm not. I can only build 2 there. Now, here's the thing. I could build replacements everywhere else. But this is going to be a fast scenario. I want to get everything built that I can. So I'm going to build some of these stupid orbital fighters. They may not be what I want, but let's see. I got 40 points total. 40 divided by 2 is 20 fighters total. 18. And we'll get those here. And we'll actually build 3 per planet, or 6 per planet. These can't be moved by anything. Well, I don't know if I can build that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 5s is, well, 3 5s is 15, 30, 34 of my points. I'll have 6 points left over. There's not much I can do with those 6 points. I could build a power plant or something, but, well, yeah, I can't think of a use for it. Because once the base is set up, the game's over. I can't, like, throw a planetoid at that base and say, screw it, man. You don't win. So this is what I'm going to build. I'm going to build 2 of these over at this planet, I guess, because we're going this way. Yeah, and that'll be the furthest away. And these will all show up down here on turn 7 as well. Do we have movement we want to make? This is the big question. Do we want to engage the Chinese outside of our planetary system? Do we have any reason to believe that? Oh, forgot to do something. Again, there's just two phases in the sequence of play, so it's really hard. You don't remember where the other stuff is. So the Chinese are flying around, and I've got two ships there. They get I think it's on the gray turns, but I've got to look at training. Yeah, only in the interim phases. Okay, so I don't get to roll for training. So now the question is, do I launch these damn ships someplace useful? And they're all facing out this way. Do I want to get my squads of ships all in one place? Or do I have some other purpose? Well, I kind of want to fly them around a little bit. I'm going to try to gather them because I think this is going to come down to one huge fleet battle for this raid. The other situations are a little different. So Armageddon, you have to destroy the enemy entirely, which, wow. And you don't necessarily have a very large force. That may be impossible because the fleets may wipe each other out. I guess eventually, no, because you get no production. So, yeah, that may just end in a draw very often. This other one is destroying a single industry counter on the indicated enemy world, which you secretly designate after examining all starting forces. And you lose if any of your industry counters are destroyed. But both players can lose, leading to a draw. If either player gets their specific targeted one, they win. So, I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities for play. I don't know if I'm going to play any of the other scenarios. We'll see what I learn here and whether I'm really gung-ho about it. It does look like it has some interesting aspects to it, though. Hey, we started play, so. And we'll just push this forward. I'll throw some dice here to let me know that I'm at the start of the turn. My batteries are running a little low on both cases, so it's probably best if I crap out for the night, but I kind of want to play. To turn 2, I've conducted the movement for the 2 fleets. I mean, nothing too exciting there, right? But now we're in the interim phase. And maybe my production should have waited until now. I'm not, because there's something that says that. Here, we'll just push all the production markers forward if that's the case. Let's just see what we have here. Interim phase allows for industrial production, yeah. So we will shove these all 1 turn later. Not that it makes much difference. Get them cleaned up later. But the biggie here is all of our planets move, and they go. And how big a deal is that in this scenario? I don't know. I mean, some of those are targets, but where it's really interesting, I guess, is that, you know, you launching ships, etc., from particular planets becomes more interesting. But I really don't think the planetary movement's that big a deal in the game as a whole. Now we have roles for our technology, or not technology, but our learning. And let's see, a 3 or greater within the orbit. I throw the dice. Okay, so let's look. First Chinese fleet. I should really have 2 different colored dice here for this. We're going to make red bad. Red on a 6 is a failure. It doesn't matter here. Okay, a 3 or better. Okay, we got a wedge. Wedgie is something we kind of like because wedge says, wedge is one which can protect, and that was one of our goals here. And then the other one, and I really only need to roll the one die this turn, doesn't get. Now let's go through the 3 Islamic fleets, and these are all 3 through 6 because we're in our own systems. The Chinese are going to be leaving and getting less learning. Okay, so that's 1 for the first Islamic. And I don't know what we desire particularly. We have a globe. Globes are pretty awesome. A cylinder, which I think is what we're actually designed for. And 2 is nothing. And then we just push the turn marker ahead. Reaching an interesting decision point here. The Chinese are just about to leave the extent of their system, but they haven't done terribly well on these rolls for technologies. The Islamicists a little better. I think we're probably going to continue on, but we do have the option of holding off and not launching the attack right away because the time limit only starts ticking once we cross into there. The thing is, there's more of an edge for these guys, but honestly, most of those are going to be in place as I wait. I mean, so these guys are going to all show up next turn. I'm not going to have a chance to get in there before all those orbital fighters show up, and there's only a couple of robotic fighters. And those robotic fighters, with their movement rate of 3, can certainly hook up with these guys. So I may wait simply in order to get my additional robotic fighters up to join my fleet, because I think overall I get more out of it. And it looks pretty clear that the Islamic Navy can all gather together, and you know, it's almost as big as mine anyway. I think when we count everything together, what do we got here? We have 220 for the Islamics versus 210 for the Chinese. If it weren't for the fact that I threw some ground defense in, all together the Islamic Navy should be bigger, so it should be able to beat whatever I send in, because I've got to send a base, I've got to this, that, and the other. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. Big deal, but reinforcements are down. We're waiting on them. A little bit of chit gain there. We lost a chit here. That's kind of cool. These guys are going to come flying out. Obviously, these guys are going to go join one of the fleets. However, under each of these, I've got stacks of the orbital fighters. Why are they under them? Because a big stack of ships is going to annoy me if it's on top. So this is the easiest way for they can't go anywhere. The other option would be to just associate them with the planet. If I had a base, I might just leave them landed on the base, but I didn't want to pay for bases. No reason, which seems a little weird. These are actually created on the factory, but they can just leave. They just don't have any place they can sit as a base. So there we have it. Since there's with no bases, there's no opportunity to just squirrel my ships into it and avoid the possibility of the maintenance penalty die roll. But that's okay. I've got a better chance of gaining chits than I do of losing chits. And I don't, the way the rules are worded, it's when ships are in space that they get to roll. It's slightly different. You know, it's not clear to me that they shouldn't be able to train in the bases according to the way the rules are worded, except there's that in space modifier, whereas it's very specific that if they're in bases, they don't pay the maintenance penalty roll. So to me, it seems like both are missing, and I can make an argument either way, but whatever. All right, almost there. almost, that turns at least go fast, you know. And I don't know how many there are, but so these fighters are almost in play. Now, they could move beyond, so I could move my whole fleet to here or something, or I could actually be more clever. I don't know. I could leave fighters behind, but that wouldn't help. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the fleet back here for one more turn. I'm only going to move 2 spaces with my fighters because, well, I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't want to use up any slice of this. And I don't have a lot of chits, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I actually really don't like the way these chits are working out. They're kind of a tedious, every other turn you're rolling 2 dice for, you know, every one of your fleets in existence, basically. It's a little bit of a burden, but, you know, the game doesn't have a lot of burden overall. So I guess I can pay that small cost. It's just, I guess the biggest thing is, it feels like I really like the concept behind these in terms of different tactics being different things. I just feel like they should probably be more researched rather than just based on training. But I guess they're all known to both sides is kind of the idea, and it's just by drilling you get it right or something. But it seems like doctrinal stuff like that wouldn't fall apart quite as easily, but it may just be it's so complicated and intricate that it you know, is difficult to maintain that capability. Why do I still have points here? Because I ran out of fighters. Why do I have a fighter there? I built that fighter. See it. So that's coming from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll put it out on this turn. Get another fighter. You know why? It's because I had an uneven distribution for planets, and I should have actually just thrown it in there, because that's the closest planet to the enemy. But we will build it there, I guess. And we're off. The ticker's not on yet, but we're going to set out for combat. Now, for the Arabs, I probably do not want to fight the battle not over a planet. Why? Well, because I have those additional orbital fighters, which should help me. You know, they're part of my force, and they're spread out all over Hell and Creation. And, well, that bigger fleet question, that comes kind of into question here, because I'm 20 points less from the start. My budget of 40 points is split between 3 planets, along with the planetary defenses that are split between those planets. So it's actually probably a pretty close fight when everything clashes together. We're still not sure what's going to happen. Is it going to be one massive battle? It doesn't have to be. The Chinese have 2 different bases. I could try to do an end run or something like that. I don't think that works very well, but here's the thing. All the command ships go at the same speed. So if I can get kind of a little movement edge, I could start bombing a planet early. But a planet's not going to be destroyed very quickly. Although this one, where is this? Oh, that's a Chinese planet. That doesn't count. Yeah, this space looks pretty easy to kill. This is on Al Mummet over here. Oh, it's my target. Yeah, that looks fairly easy to attack, actually. Interesting. Now, unfortunately, that's between 2 of these, but there's a lot more population up there at the poles. Yeah, we may go for that planet anyway with full force. We'll see. Things in play here. First of all, oops, the Islamicists screwed up. Chinese are going to hit them before they get their whole fleet there. but I need to protect the planet because of that low population here. Yeah, that's 55. But still, I feel like I need to protect the planet better than I have. And now I've got one of my squadrons loose. I guess it's my weakest in terms of technique or technology. Now, the other thing is, for the Chinese, I roll for this, but only on a 5 or a 6 does the white die trigger. So I have less of a chance of getting additional skills. Whereas for me, I gain one and I lose one. Okay, globe, wedge. I like globe a lot. I'm going to toss the wedge just in case I get a broken globe. I'll get another globe. I have enough ships right now, I think. Of course, this could be a problem because this is the loose fleet. If this fleet's destroyed, that might not outnumber the Chinese fleet anymore. Could be a problem. Oh well. And we'll move on, and we're just about ready for the game to start. And it's not going to be long. You know, you fling the ships, boom, it should be over and pretty much decided by that one battle. As far as I can tell. And this was just a massive screw-up, which probably determines who wins. Maybe too massive a screw-up, but... yeah, the thing is, okay, if they're on this planet and it starts sailing this way, I'm going to get a faster run at one of these other planets. So I don't know. It's hard to defend all of these because I think one round of a fleet that big might be enough to take down a planet. So it's time to make a decision, you know? The speed of these fleets is not that great, and unless I'm going to be flinging a bunch of fighters and that's it, I don't really have resources to move quickly. And you don't. The heavy cruisers are a little fast, and the battle cruisers, so you can make a slightly quicker fleet that has some capability but doesn't have any tactics. That sounds like a horrible idea. I don't know. So the time has come. Boom, 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 and we're in. The fight begins. The planetary, the global, the orbital fighters will be involved. The planetary defenses are not involved until we're ready to bomb. So now we're in a position until that fighting will happen until one side or the other breaks off. And there's too much of a danger of being able to break through and drop a base to let, given the victory conditions of this scenario, to let some time pass and try to get the rest of the fleet into play. This was just the way it works. And I think that's okay because I don't think getting all three fleets together would have been possible. I think if I had set it up so that they were all together, the Chinese would slip by and be able to get a hit on one of the planets. They might have been able to do that anyway, but anyway. This, incidentally, starts the clock ticking. Next time we come around to 3, the game is over because there's 12 segments after you pass into the Islamic territory. We're nowhere near the 48. This is the first time through, or second time through. So we have to set up the battle, right? And for that we have, I think, each task force has to be handled on its own. This is, not everything is entirely clear to me, and it may not all be here. Okay, so you can divide the ships in a task force into multiple groups if there's some advantage to that, and there may be. So let's look at what we have here, because it's all known, and this is done kind of secretly. We have the entire Chinese fleet here, and we have squadrons 1 and 2, and let's dump some of these in. Sorry, 1 and 3. And I guess we'll just do that. Okay. And what do we have? Let's see what our different options are. So I have a lot of options here. Globe, cone, wedge, cylinder. Let's look at what these do. So cone attacks with a big value, a big singular value, and each ship defends with a slight bonus. Wedge is, it attacks primarily with a single big ship value, but defense is similar to cone. Why would you take cone instead of, why would you take wedge instead of cone? Because you can screen things. Cylinder is the mix of the two. And we have the numerical requirements for any of these because these fleets are fairly large. But the last option is globe, and that has to be 8 ships, at least 3 ships more than its target formation. This is kind of troubling because we have to pick our formation before we know how the enemy is going to split up. I think we want to avoid being globed, so we're going to keep our force together. No. When do backup formations? So I'm worried about formations breaking and when they back up. And I get the feeling that your formations are decided at the beginning of the battle. This isn't really clear here, but the ship-to-ship combat scene, yeah, they're decided at the beginning of the battle, and then all the combat happens. So I don't think we can pull off a globe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 ships here. 17 ships. It has to be at least 3 more than the target. Well, let's see what any of these are. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We don't want to do it there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We could get away with a globe against the second with this one. And likewise, I can make a decision here. What do I have over here? Well, I have a lot of cylinders. And then I have a globe and a cone. Cylinders are pretty damn good, so I'll probably stack it with the cylinders on top because they have a larger requirement, 6 ships, and then the cone only has 4 ships. So I'll probably stack my entire formation like this. And I'll put this globe underneath as a pass because I don't think I'll make it that far. This will target Squadron 1 to begin with. And this will target Squadron 2. And we're going to go, because I counted and we have the requirements for globe. I'm going to go with globe. Do I want another globe there? That's a good question. I think I'll hold off on that and put the rest of these in this order, and I'll just do 1 globe. Now the danger of this is, in the first round of combat, the globe's not in place, but maybe I'll be able to shoot up the fighters and get rid of a lot of them and get my numerical superiority that way. All right, that's thinking there. Now what's kind of weird here is once the globe is formed around something, that something can't shoot the other squadron. So that's kind of an interesting facet there. And this I'll just turn over so I don't recall it. So here's the thing. If I manage to get this globe, if I manage to survive the first turn, still be able to get a globe off against Fleet 2. Fleet 2 is now sealed off in there. Conceivably, I could send both of these to target a single fleet or something along that line. But I can't, because they're divided into task forces, I can't put them all in 1 globe, right? What I don't know here is how many formations I'm going to be breaking into. And again, I'll put some thought into what I have here. This guy's got globe and cylinder. And this guy's got globe, cone, wedge. All right, let's see. So numerically, I have less ships in general. Best ship, sum of all, sum of alls. So clearly, cylinder is my best formation. Do I want to keep a globe against them? Well, cylinder picks off one ship at a time, so my answer is no, I'm going to pass on the globe. It's not going to be there. For this other one, I have a globe on top. I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was like, I don't know, somewhere around, I don't remember how many ships, but it's not going to be able to globe either of these. So the only way I'd get a shot at doing that is if he's broken up into multiple formations or something. So I'm not going to do that. And again, we'll probably just pass on that. Wedge and cone are my two choices. Cylinder is able to screen ships, which means I will be screening at least one of these transports. I'll flip that over. The other transports, do I really care about? Not terribly. So I'm going to leave them out there as potential casualty eaters. Over here, if I take cone, I have no screening capability. If I take wedge, it's best ship plus 1 point for each additional unscreened ship. Well, I can get much, much bigger numbers with the cone, but I'm going to go with wedge so that I can screen, but I'll put cone afterwards, so that I can screen my transport ship again. And we'll flip that over. I'm only really worried about the single transport that is carrying something of importance. Whew. We may have to break this mid-combat. Okay, what are my targets? I don't know. Because I'm not going with a globe here, I don't have any, and his fleets are similar in size, I don't have any real objective advantage. So I'll go with 1 here, and we'll put 5 here for 3 because there are no 3s over there. Now we start to shoot. Great time to go away for a couple of days, basically. But it had to happen. I had my weekly dancing, and then it's the weekend. Unfortunately, I have to finish this today because I have a trip that starts this next week. Maybe fortunately, because otherwise I might delay it. We got to get to this battle. Now, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to have enough video to do the whole battle, so I'm going to load up what I have here, and then we'll hit the battle on the next one. For this scenario, there's really, I think, going to be just one big battle. I'm not sure. Well, we can get it started. Okay. So, because that gives us some of the important stuff on here. So, I guess we've already decided who their targets are and what they're picking. And now, we actually look at what these fires are going to be like, and we've kind of swapped who's aiming at what. So this guy's aiming up at the top, but he's aiming at this one, and we'll see how that ends up integrating, because globes around things make things weird. There's no first fire, I don't believe. Globe causes first fire. Okay, but it's not in place yet. So I don't know what to do. I'm gonna need some markers that I don't have right now to differentiate things, because as I hit things, I'm gonna have to mark them as shot or not. I figured out what's screened, what's not. And let's try this cylinder up against its target. Now, the way a cylinder works is it only fires at one thing with the sum of all unscreened attack factors present. Okay, so we've got 16. These guys have no firepower. And a bunch of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 26, 30, 42. Now I can pick any enemy ship there. I've got 42. I'd love to take out the big guy. Let's take a look at the combat results table. 42 minus 16 is 32, 26. That would get me on the 16 level. I think I need to take out his big guys because he's got a wedge formation, which allows him to use his ships more completely. Now, there might be times when it's advantageous to have all your ships firing separately. Like if you have a bunch of larger ships facing a bunch of fighters. I don't think either of us has that situation here. So we'll go on the plus 16 table against one of those. We get a 2, that's a D. The target's disrupted, it's inverted, and remains so till the end of the player turn. So this is going to be knocked out of combat. I've got these guys screened. This is kind of the problem, is I don't really have a good answer to compare screened versus otherwise. I'm going to mark this screened by this. This guy's disrupted, but he just got disrupted, so let me leave him over here for now. I guess we'll fire him next so we can remember this. That's in a wedge formation, which is 1 for each additional unscreened ship. Well, we'll use him at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So I've only got 30 shots going off from him. Now, I'm firing over here. Plus 22 is the same plus 16. I would like to take out that big guy because he's got a globe. That's a good formation to start schwacking things with. So we'll try the same table. We get a 6. We get a break. Okay. That means he is actually destroyed. And I don't know how to mark that. We'll put this red die on top of him for now. And the formation is broken, so I'm going to put this like this. The globe is attempting to form right now, so that's not a big deal. But we'll be dropping into cylinder afterwards. But now he's got individual ships firing. And we'll fire over at this unit here. So I've got 16 and a bunch of deuces. Well, the deuces would like to shoot at small ships. Disorder to disorder doesn't really do anything. If I can't get at least a +1, nothing comes of it. So really all I can do is shoot the little ships. Except for with my one big ship, and I'm losing that. Okay, and that's bad. 16. I can get a +8 on this battle cruiser. That's probably the best that I can hit. Do this guy too. +8 on a battle cruiser. All right, that's what we're going to do. We missed. The ship's destroyed. We just put it over with the rest of the battleships. There's no points for killing ships or anything like that. But now we have the rest of these. I have a bunch of these. I don't know how many. 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 14 deuces. That's not very good. I'm going to start plinking at these fighters. I'm all at +1. So 1, 2. Red die first. 3, 4, 5, 6. I disordered 1. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I get a note. I guess it doesn't matter which color's first. Because I'm not really separating them out or anything. Okay. And I might have had to do that, and then I would have had to roll bunches of dice against each ship. I'm not worrying about it at this point. If I screwed that up, that's not that big a deal. I can get rid of this globe. It's been broken, and we are falling into cylinder formation next time. That just fired at this. Let's take care of this. Well, this is in cylinder formation. Oh, we're not too bad here. And that's all unscreened attack factors present. Ah, shit. Yeah, except my defense factors were increased. Okay. Defense factor has an additional 1 for each ship present, which ups all of these. Son of a bitch, we screwed up. All right, can we unwind this? Probably. Let's redo completely. We get the globe back. Okay, these guys were in globe, but they weren't in globe. The shots against them are valid. There were shots against this guy. What happened? No, nobody shot him yet. He shot this. This was in cylinder. They were at a better defense, so I may have done something different. First of all, none of these could have been hit. And secondly, our shot at the battlecruiser wouldn't have succeeded. And I don't think I would have dropped down to a lesser ship. Okay. I might have fired on like the +4 column or something like that instead. So I think we're okay with where we are. What about this? This got shot, didn't it? This got shot. Yeah. So here it was a battleship that got knocked out. Let me make sure we could have done that. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It had a fair advantage. I'm going to let that hit stand because I think it works out. But now let's not unwind then. And this guy is going to fire at this. Now he's in cylinder. That means bigger defenses. I don't know how many we have here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot of counting here. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 ships. I would rather these ships all be tracked on paper. Well, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, yeah, I think. Okay, so 16, that puts me to a 24 defense on the battleship there, using a cylinder formation. What am I hitting it with? I'm hitting it with my own cylinder, which is, I believe, the sum of all factors. So that's 48 and 24, 60, 72, 80. And what was our number here? Fuck me. 8 and 16, 24. So 80 to 24, I think is what I'm saying. Sounds like about 56. That's a pretty good hit. There really isn't anything else I can shoot at here. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm shooting down here. Yeah, there's nothing else that's interesting to shoot at. Picking only one battleship per squadron was probably a bad idea because they can get picked off. And then my formations don't matter anymore as much. So yeah, we're on the +32. We're going to be taking it down. We're just D'ing it, which is fine. Oh, these are formation's not in effect. That D doesn't break the formation. I'm pretty sure we have the numerical results to hold all these formations. So we now go to the second round of combat. Okay, second round of combat is nobody was trying to form a globe and kept that same globe marker. So nobody's trying to form a globe now. So everybody's in their current formation at this point. Let's jump again, I guess, down here. He's sitting in a cylinder formation. Now, cylinder is a great formation, but I don't know with all these little ships. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I hate counting. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I've got 26 fire factors here. 26 fire factors going against a wedge. Did the wedge give a defense? 1 per additional ship. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, let's count ships. I can't remember these numbers. I might be able to do it if I wasn't fucking on video, but I can't do it. I gotta go find myself a calculator to keep numbers. Whatever ship I pick here has an additional 13 factors added to its defense. My attack firepower here is only 26. That's pretty crappy. I may want to be pulling out here, to tell you the truth. There's a danger to that, which is losing the game. I'll mum it. We got like only 20. I mean, I can blow through that with what's there. So I've got to blow up some of those Chinese some of those Chinese ships. So I'm at 26. There's 13 here. See, I have none of my heavy ships left. That's the problem. Oh, you know what I do have left? I have these damn command ships left. Those are kind of heavy. Get rid of that and the tactics go away. I think they go away at the end of the turn. I don't think the command ship has to be there throughout the entire battle, because otherwise they would be the obvious targets. Okay, so a total of 26. 13 extra points of defense means, you know, 21 here. That would be +5. That's not bad, a D or an E, but it's not really doing much. So let's say we get this to 17 instead. That's 9. That sounds a little better. And the battlecruiser is just as good a ship. I can only pick off one ship at a time while I'm in cylinder mode. And I miss. Okay, we go back up here. This is wedge mode. Ship's attack using the best ship plus 1 point per additional unscreened ship. So now we recount again. We had 13 additional ships. That puts us to 29. What are we picking at? We're picking at something in cylinder formation. Cylinder formation gives you a point for each additional unscreened ship, so we have to count again. Joy. If this was on paper, it would be really easy to do, but with fucking counters or minis or something else, it really sucks. This game probably should have been designed to be a spreadsheet game instead. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I hope. 14, 15, 16, so there's 15 additional ships present there. My formation doesn't really help me here. Would I be better off breaking out of formation? Probably, but I don't want to lose my formation. And I think if I voluntarily give it up, I lose it. I'll look that up. Because I would be pretty competent at blowing up bunches of fighters if I give up formation. Let me see. Because I think if I give up formation, I have to give up the secondary formation, etc. If I completely scatter, though, then I can't take up formation later. And formation is somewhat useful because I have a pile of fighters in here, but I can shoot more of those small ships. So let's see what I can do. Thing that indicates I can break formation, but I'll tell you what, I don't want to break formation because he's in formation and he has all these huge defenses. So actually shooting one of those small ships isn't trivial. Okay, so 29 to 15. Yeah, not having formation would be very bad, actually. Gets me to the +8 column. Against just about anything I want to shoot. I'll shoot a regular fighter, not on an orbital. I get a 6. That eliminates the regular fighter. We'll put the red die on top of the regular fighter for remembering that it's dead. Now I can go over here. This is a cylinder. And you can see how this is gonna go out. I'm going to call it here because I'm out of video. And I'll be back in a little while. Let me finish this round of combat and I'll tell you what happened, and then I'll come back with another video. Being stupid, I'm not shooting out the head ships, the command ships, which I should be doing. Here I'd have to kill both command ships for it to have an effect, and killing the battlecruisers has more combat effect. So that makes sense. But here, I should have been killing them. I haven't been doing it. I've been killing off fighters. Anyway, I took out a fighter from each. Pretty easy. I was on the +64 table against this one, for example, because this guy has... No, this guy has wedge, so he's not very powerful. This guy has cylinder, which is really, really potent. when you have some decent ships. Here, I ended up with cylinders with a lot of light ships. That's kind of a waste, but a lot of fighters is a safer tactic because it works better with wedge or whatever. Uploading now.